Hello, Princess. Welcome back to another episode of what I watched in a whole ass month. I've kind of fallen into the cadence of not doing the video like until 2 weeks into the month, which is not what I would love. I would love to do it day one and then have it up as soon as possible, but like better late than never, right? I know you're all clamoring, you're all sending me letters in the mail like, oh my god, please quinncluded, do another video. These Fortnite videos are these Fortnite speed runs are fun to watch, but nothing compares to watching this fat chud say Witch Watch was good. All right, whatever. The first thing I watched was Witch Watch. Hopefully, probably not though. This month I could maybe lap. You'll lap it up. I would maybe yap a little less, but probably not because that's what I do. Because I keep fucking not doing the videos for 2 weeks, it's then probably been like a whole literal month since I actually watched Witch Watch, which I'll have a little bit more of a memory for this one because it's a manga that I've been reading since day one. I'm a day oneer. Back when the pandemic first started, I got really into just like binging a lot of manga. So first I was just like, I think what did I start? I think I started with Naruto. I was like, I never actually. Oh yeah, there we go. The gears are turning. The single gear that powers my body is turning. I realized that for some things, the big three and Dragon Ball, namely, what, Dragon Ball? Not Dragon Ball. I read all of Dragon Ball before, but for Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, I mentioned Dragon Ball because I read it at the same time. It doesn't matter. Naruto, I realized that I had watched all of the anime up until the Pain arc, and then after that I switched to the manga. One Piece, it was the same thing where I had watched all of the anime until the Fishman Island arc. Well, no, until the Marineford arc. And then Bleach, I had. Well, at this point, I think Bleach had been over for a few years, so maybe it was. Had I read early Bleach at this point? No, let's say I hadn't. Let's to keep on brand, on theme, on whatever. Let's say I had only read from where the original Bleach anime ended. That would make sense if I had watched all of what Bleach made and then switched to the manga. I do think, actually, no, if I remember right, I'm an ancient old man at this point, so it's hard for me to remember. I started to read these mangas when I was 14. So Bleach, I read until they get to the fake Karakura Town arc, and then the manga was already in the Fullbring arc at this point. Maybe done it. I don't fully remember. And I think because I had switched for One Piece and Naruto, I was like, I'll just switch for Bleach too. And then I just switched to reading the manga for that also, even though the original Bleach anime ends with the Fullbring arc, which is where I picked up the manga from. I like how instantly I was like, maybe this video I'll yap less, and I'm not even talking about the shit I watched. I'm like, well, when I was 14, I started to read manga. I was really cool and didn't get beat up a lot. But my point being, in quarantine when that first started, I started to read Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach from the beginning, and then it kind of started me being like, oh, I want to read a lot of manga, and so I read maybe I just saw it, because I went through Shonen Jump's entire catalog, and I was like, favorite, and it's alphabetical, so one of the first things I would have seen was Astra's Lost in Space. I read Astra's Lost in Space. I really liked it. I watched the anime right after too. I don't remember what I gave that. That was before I did this bullshit. I think I gave that like a 7 or an 8, but like in a way that I liked it more than that score. And I think after I read that, Shonen Jump clocked my ass and was like, oh, he liked this. Hey, by the way, did you know that the author for Astra's Lost in Space is doing a new manga called Witch Watch. So from day one, I started to read Witch Watch. And then somewhat recently, although I think it might have also gotten away from me. Actually, I can probably click and see. Spring 2025. Okay, so no, it was more recent than I remember. I thought it was maybe a 2024 one that got away from me like really, really badly. But no, okay. It still took a whole year for me to fucking watch it, I guess. But, my iPad is trying to get me to search. No, don't do that. Okay. My microphone cord is touching my iPad. It's touching me. Show me on the iPad where it's touching me. Okay, I accidentally clicked Spy Family. Alright, if I knew how to edit, this bullshit wouldn't be here, but, I'll never do that because I'm lazy. Anyway, I started to watch Witch Watch last month. I almost said last year. It came out last year. And the basic premise of Witch Watch is that there's two people, that the male and the female lead. The male lead is Morihito Otogi, and the girl is... I love women. I definitely don't disrespect women, and that's why I forget her name. Is Nico. It doesn't say her last name here. Nico Wakatsuki. Now, they were childhood friends until Nico had to fuck off because Nico is a witch and she had to leave to do magic witch training, and Otogi is an ogre, except he doesn't look like an ogre because it's back in the day they all were completely literal and looked like their mythological selves, but as the times have gone on, they've evolved and adapted, and the bloodline has diluted so that he basically just looks like a normal human boy, although because it's a cartoon they can get away with he has a single spike on the top of his head, to be oh, that's his ogre horn, So his gimmick is that he's very powerful, he's a strong guy, and then her gimmick is that she knows magic. But episode 1, Nico shows up, and the dad of Morihito is hey, Nico's gonna roll up, and you're gonna be her fucking bodyguard because some bad people want to fuck her shit up. And he's like, what? And then the dad leaves. He's like, peace out, I'm leaving the story, and I won't show up for hundreds and hundreds of chapters. I think only recently in real life has he shown back up, and the manga's been going for 6-7 years now. But then the actual plot of it all, because that sounds it's maybe a battle series or something about Ogre Man fighting people to defend his witch GF, but not really. For the most part, it's actually a comedy show. It's a gag series where it's they episode 2 is when they first go to high school, and they're we can't let everyone know Nico's a witch, it would fuck everything up, and she almost instantly lets the cat out of the bag and starts doing magic on her classmates, and they're hey, if you know magic, make us fly, that would be based in epic, and she makes them all fly and they have fun, and they're magic is the tits. But then almost every episode after this is basically a similar premise where I think she literally puts up a flyer where she's you help me, I help you kind of deal, where I need to progress my skills as a magic user, and the best way to do that is by helping people out, and the more I help people, the more better of a witch she becomes, or something like that. So she puts up a flyer hey, if you have a problem, come to me, I'll try to help you out with magic. And usually she does the spell, but it doesn't quite work out the way that you would assume, or she fucks up the spell because she's an idiot, or the person that gets the spell done on them doesn't fully understand, and wacky hijinks ensue. I would say Witch Watch is 25 episodes, and that is most episodes. I don't know the exact amount, but let's say 9 out of 10 episodes are like that. And then every now and then there's another style of episode where what you might initially think happens, where fighting occurs or what have you. So I think in this season, only at the halfway point, 12 episodes deep. At some point they need help with something. I think they there's a bit where they do a YouTube channel. They slowly also introduce other characters that are friends of the witch. So I think it's literally episode 3 they introduce Kanchi, who's a separate second childhood friend of Nico's, and his whole thing is that he's a Tengu, and Tengu, I don't fully know the Tengu lore. I know in this he can control ravens and has magic wind powers, but in this he does the control ravens thing twice, and then mostly he just has a fan that he waves to make the winds real strong, and that's his his gimmick, his trope of it all. And then it's not for a while. Eventually they later introduce a witch called Nemu, who is a witch who's specialty is that she can turn into a black cat. And the gag episodes around her is that she comes to their house as a cat and loves to be rubbed all over by the main guy. And she's like, oh my god, it feels so good. And she's like, oh wait, no, it feels so good that it's so calming. I'm falling asleep in his lap, but my magic always comes undone. When I fall asleep, they're going to think I'm a weird little pervert because I am one, because I'm talking about how good it feels to be rubbed. And every time it's like she falls asleep and then she turns back into a human and she's like, they know, and then they're all distracted by something, so then she sneaks out and then they turn around to be like, where's our cat friend? I also didn't realize this while reading the manga, or maybe I did and I forgot because it's been 7 years. Her name is Nemu Meow, spelled M-I-Y-A-O, so like a real name, but phonetically it's pronounced meow, like the noise a cat makes. That's some Toriyama level creativity right there. And I was like, Jesus Christ. At some point after that, when they're doing the YouTube channel thing, I lost my train of thought to remember to bring up that they add other people. They get their classmate Keigo to help them, and Keigo's this like hipster guy who's like kind of unpopular because he constantly brags about how he's like a hipster douchebag, and he's like, I widowy like things you couldn't even begin to comprehend. And they're like, yeah, okay, Keigo, just help us fucking hold the camera, man. And then slowly but surely it's revealed that, Keigo is in cahoots with an evil witch that wants to fuck up Nico's shit, and his gimmick is that he's a werewolf, but instead of being a wolf man, if he sees anything that is like a crescent shaped, he will transform, and instead of turning into a wolf man, it's like it's kind of like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde style thing, where he will swap personalities with a more powerful, more agile, more sexy man called Wolf. Literally, his name is Wolf. And that's like, I believe, if I remember correctly, that's the only time real action takes place, is when Keigo betrays them, and then Wolf has to fight the main guy, Otogi. And they have to and the other people, fucking Nemu and Nico and Conchi have to go up against they're called warlocks, but it can be any gender. So in this case, it was an old woman. So instead of being it's that old hag, it's the warlock. But then otherwise it's just comedy episodes, and sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're not. I think the worst episodes of the whole season is when they dedicate episodes to there's a classmate girl whose name I don't even remember, and then their teacher whose name I also don't remember. And the gimmick of their episodes is that the classmate girl is a big otaku. She's a fucking weeaboo, just like me for real, and she loves whatever series that they made up in verse. And then the teacher loves the same series and is also a weeb, but she's a 30-year-old woman. She can't be like, oh, hello, fellow kids, I am also a nerd, because that would be weird. But then it's slowly revealed that, I'm so happy that I have someone I can relate to over whatever fuck-ass show. So then the teacher begins a friendship with the classmate. And then, there's, 3, I don't think 4, but 3 maybe, episodes about this gimmick, and these episodes are fucking boring. These episodes are not funny. It's not funny to just, isn't it, so bizarre that an adult can like things that aren't meant for adults? It's yeah, that's fine. It's not interesting. It's not, whatever jokes that even are in those episodes aren't, they don't make me laugh. I don't like them. And now, as a manga reader, I still read the manga for this series. Whenever there's a chapter and I see it's about that, I don't read it. I just swipe through so it says that I've read the chapter, and it doesn't stay in my continue reading tab. And I'm like, nothing of value was lost. I didn't waste my time reading this bullshit I know I don't like, and it won't bother me by being in the fucking continue reading tab. But too many times does that happen. Is that gimmick for an episode? Because it's been a month, I can't be like, this episode, or this episode was funny. The only episode in my brain that fully sticks out as really funny was, there's an episode towards the end, I think it was episode 17, one of the later episodes, where Nico's like, I'll use this spell to elongate something. I don't remember what they wanted elongated, but she like does this. So then she shoots out the spell from all of her fingers, and instead of elongating whatever they actually wanted, she ends up elongating Kego's hair, so his hair covers his whole body like a monster. Elongates Otogi's fingernails, so they're really long. Kanshi's neck, and then they're there with the student council president, who is introduced at some point as the student council is like a bunch of TV tropes given human form, and the student council president, he has a gimmick where he's like dressed in like military getup, and he has a hat on, and he's always holding it like this, like, and he really wants to recruit Otogi into the student council person because he's like, a real life ogre? That's the biggest TV trope of all. You're a real fucking freak. I want you in my gangle of weirdos. And then his arm gets elongated, and the fucking dumb joke is that they're like, okay, well, Kego, we can't really do anything to disguise you. We just have to hope people don't notice your freaky long ass hair. Otogi, you'll cross your arms and say that you're in a really cool punk band inspired by Vega from Street Fighter, because his thing is that he has like claw weapons, and it's so fucking stupid that it's just a little bit funny. Kanshi, they have him, because his neck is all long, they have him like tie up his neck, and he just has a gigantic fat fucking quadruple chin, just like me for real. And then the student council president, part of his like TV trope is that he's always holding his hat, and they're like, I think at first they're like, why do you always do that? Is your hand stuck? And he just like looks away, and they're like, so it is? And he's like, but then in this episode, they're like, oh, wrap your arm around yourself and it'll just look like you're wearing like a beige sash. And then he tries to without like letting go of his hat, and he's like, oh, no, it's not gonna work, guys. And they're like, let go of your hat. And he's like, if I must. So then he wraps his arm around his whole body to look like he's wearing a beige covered sash, grabs onto his hat again, and then it's also like, it's simultaneously like used for laughs, but it's also kind of like disgusting fucking body horror. And then I remember that whole segment making me laugh. I can't say much of the rest of the episode made me laugh, but yeah. Oh, again, like always, I forgot to get my fuck ass score. So the score I gave this was an 8 out of 10. Because now when I read the manga, it's really hit or miss, especially only getting a chapter a week, to be like, oh, it's just another gag chapter. This is the gimmick. It's funny or it's not, or it's a teacher chapter that I just skip. It's so few and far between the episodes or chapters where it's these mythological beings using their cool mythological powers to fight. And every time it's actually about that, I think that it's very interesting, because I think that that's a strength that this writer has, because their previous work, Astro's Lost in Space, its entirety a narrative piece of like a bunch of students going on like a space field trip and then getting like stranded in space, and they have to like do whatever and go on adventures to get their way back. It's awesome. But then for Witch Watch, he's like, I'm really locked in on this comedy thing, so deal with funny or unfunny chapters most of the time, I guess. But yeah. I did want to mention before I was done talking about this, in one of I think it was in the third last episode. It was in one of the last few episodes, I know that. There's a scene where Nico is off having fun with all of her classmates. At the like school festival, which is like always a thing in Slice of Life series. And she's off having fun with the rest of the class while her fucking bodyguards are up in the stands. And Otogi literally says, she's a witch we have to watch over. And I was like, oh my god, holy shit, he fucking said it. He really, like, what are we, some kind of sewer slide squad moment? He fucking spikes the lens. We really have to witch watch her. Like, come the fuck on. Like, it's a pretty good show, but that's a crazy fucking line to, like, say in all earnest. Like, come on. If you didn't say that, if you were just like, we need to do our job as bodyguards, like, the message is getting across without fucking, that's a witch we have to watch. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Jesus. Next on the list is a movie called Cosmic Princess Kaguya, which is an anime movie on Netflix. I kept seeing posts on twitter.ca and other websites that were like, Cosmic Princess Kaguya is life changing. It's the single fucking best movie ever. And I can't let that slide. I'm like, how good can it be if I haven't seen it? Pushes up glasses, pulls out wedgie. So I watched it. I guess I'll say up front I gave it an 8. I did watch this movie right before I passed out, so it's like a 1-2 punch of I watched it a month ago and I was literally falling asleep. Like, oh my, this movie's pretty good. But it is a very good movie. It's a lot of fun, I'll say that. I can't totally recount the plot. I know you're saying, thank God, he just yapped for fucking 20 minutes about nothing, about Witch Watch. But I know it's like a adaptation, I guess, a reinterpretation of sorts about Princess Kaguya, the like old Japanese legend slash folktale slash whatever. And I don't know enough about that story at all to be like, that's what this is, because it's a similar setup where I forget the exact details of the original Princess Kaguya. I think it's like a woman is born through miraculous means, and she's so beautiful that people were like, we need your pussy so bad, Kaguya. And they're like, we can't do any farm work. If you're going to keep harassing our moon daughter, then come fucking give us cash. And then eventually she ends up on the moon. So it's really good. I think it also has something to do with the rabbit on the moon making mochi. I might be making that up. That might be something else. Whenever I think about that, I think about Dragon Ball because of the Monster Carrot bullshit. Is Monster Carrot Kaguya? But there's this girl. She's in school. She is a musician, but she hasn't really been doing it. She's been like putting all her efforts into working or being at school. And I think she plays piano, if I remember. That might be wrong. And then suddenly she goes out to the convenience store, a vending machine or whatever, and a baby spawns in front of her out of a magic portal. And then she's just like, oh, fuck, an abandoned baby. And then she takes it home and decides to raise it instead of, like, turning it in. I think she literally says, like, I can't... They're not going to believe me if I say this baby spawned in front of me. I can't go turn it in, even though she could just say, like, I found an abandoned baby. You take it. But I guess she's so virtuous and baby-pilled that she has to keep the baby. And then I think she is, like, raising the baby for a few days when suddenly she wakes up or comes home and the baby has, like, snap of a finger turned into a teenage girl. And then now hijinks ensue where... Does she start going to school with her? I don't remember. I know it's, like, set in a somewhat future where there's, like, a really high-tech VR game that the main girl likes to go on. And then there's, like, the most popular Markiplier in the VR space is, like, gonna run a contest where it's like, and then if you win the contest, you get to make a song with me or something like that. So then, I don't even remember if her name is literally Kaguya in the movie. I don't think it is. But I'm gonna call her Kaguya for sake of, without looking it up. So then main girl, like, teaches Kaguya the game, and Kaguya really, really loves the game. And then they, like, eventually... It's weird because I thought it was gonna be this, like, drama, but then there's, like, certain points where when they're playing the VR game, there's literally, like, full-on battle sequences. So it's, like, there's slice of life, there's music, there's battle. Like, it's a fucking... This, like, fucking pot of greed stew of, like, shit that could be cool in a movie. So it's, like, a jack-of-all-trades of sorts, I guess. But, did I say I gave it an 8? I gave it an 8. I'll say it again. I'm not scared. I'll say it again. It's a good movie. It's fun. I can't recount the plot artistically like I normally do, but it's very good. If you have Netflix, I would recommend it. I think it's like 2 hours long. Definitely watch it when you're actually awake, unlike me. This is probably something I should revisit so that I can actually be like, hey, so the movie's about this. Not like I'd make a whole fucking video about it. That would be crazy. I watched Princess Kaguya, so you don't have to. I'm not doing that. But yeah, 8 out of 10. Let's move right along. The next thing I watched was Love Through a Prism, another thing on Netflix. This, why did I watch this? Was it the name? I think the name maybe intrigued me, where I was like, I'm just so lonely, I need to find love so bad, I'll self-insert into this anime character. But this is a show about a girl from Japan, I forget her name. She wants to be an artist so bad, but her mom is a bitch and is like, you're gonna take over our kimono making industry or else. And the daughter's like, please let me do art, please. And then the mom's like, alright, fine. I'll fucking unplug my wedgie real quick. And you can go to art school for 6 months, but if you're not the best in the whole school after 6 months, you're coming back and you're taking over our goddamn business. And the daughter's like, geez, Louise, what a fucked up restriction. Just let me do art. So then she goes to this art school, which is in London. And on her first day in London, she comes across this hobo-looking motherfucker who is like sketching the river. And she walks up to him to like ask directions, and he's like, you want to eat this? And hands her the charcoal he's drawing with. And she's like, no, you disgusting fucking freak, get away from me. And then when she goes to school, surprise surprise, he's actually the best student there. He's the number one. He's the person that she has to beat. And I'm like, okay, well, they're obviously like, that's the main couple, clearly. They like, why else would they set it up like that? One thing about this show is that it's by Wit Studio, who's like pretty good at pumping out shows that are fucking beautiful. And so I was like, oh, cool. Typically I feel like the beautiful shows that get the Sakuga or the cool battle shit like Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, what have you. At least those are easy examples to grab. There's pretty shows that aren't that. But I was like, oh, it's cool to see a pretty show that's not gonna like maybe they'll like do some cool animation tricks for the art student aspect of the show. But then within like 2 episodes, they kind of drop the fact that there are students. That becomes like a backseat to reveal that the guy, his name is Kit. I think his name is Charlie or like Charles, but everyone calls him Kit. And surprise, he's not just a really good autistic guy who's like great at art. He's also the son of the local wealthy aristocrat who owns the school they're in. And then it becomes about that, where it's like, oh my god, he's so rich and handsome and awesome and good at art and blah blah blah. And did you know his dad is fucking John Richman? Fuck. And I was a little disappointed. I was much more looking forward to like the art student aspect of it. I knew it was going to be romance because it's fucking called Love Through a Prism, but to fucking be like, oh, she's a down on her luck kind of fucking nobody loser from Japan, poor bitch, falling in love with Mr. Rich Boy, fucking Daddy Warbucks. And I'm like, I just don't care about that. I'm not really interested in that. And by episode 4, they introduced the idea that because he's a wealthy aristocrat, he has a prearranged fiance who like gets pissed at the Japanese girl because he invites them all to a rich person gala and she has no dress, so she's like, I'll just go sit in my room. And he's like, no, you'll wear this super expensive beautiful dress that was my mother's, that it's like superstition or whatever that only like the bride-to-be would wear. So that pisses off his prearranged fiance, and she comes to London and she like starts bullying the Japanese girl, and then she's like, to bully you really epic style, you're gonna do my self-portrait. So then she hires her to do her self-portrait, but then, surprise, they become best friends, and then fiance lady's like, okay, and then she goes and like calls off the prearranged wedding. She's like, I could never marry someone I'm not actually in love with, even though I'm so pissed that you are clearly in love with this other girl, so you would think maybe I do like you a little bit, but then that aspect of the show is dropped after this, and she's just main girl's friend after this, and that's not interesting. And I looked down and it says it's 20 episodes, so that means for like nothing happens for a long time in this show, clearly. This is something I would watch like 1 to 2 episodes every night before I passed out. But so little was about like the thing I was interested in, with being the art, that it's just like I don't remember what happened. Some episodes they would be like, oh, this is your art assignment, but then they would go get distracted by like, oh, Kit's dad is in the hospital. So then Kit's dad fucking kicks the bucket and dies. And then they reveal, hey, Kit has to leave art school because he has to go be an ambassador in World War I. And I'm like, this show is fucking awesome. You go in thinking it's going to be about art. Then it's actually about this love story that's not very interesting. I mean, you knew it was going to be about a love story, but when the main crux is introduced as the art, you're like, oh, art. And then the main guy has to go off and not fight in, but be a diplomat in World War I? What the fuck are you talking about? Draw something. Paint something. Sculpt something. Please, fuck. So then they're like, oh, by the way, he died. Their ship was lost at sea. And then the next few, like, I think there's 3 episodes after that, and main girl goes back to Japan. I forgot to mention that at some point they introduced the idea that there was a second Japanese like exchange student, so she has like a backup love interest the whole time, and he like is just in the background like longing for her, like, I wish he would fuck me and not the blonde hair, blue eyes guy. Um, and then blonde hair, blue eyes guy luckily dies at sea, so he's like, time to fucking sneak in there and get some pussy. So they go back to Japan together and they're gonna get married. But then at this point, and it's a good artistic choice to be like the real love of her life is dead. So the last 2 out of 3 episodes are black and white, and it's like, oh, cool, like all the light in her life is gone because he died at sea. That's a good artistic choice. Even though I wasn't fully bought into the relationship, I can see how that's a good idea. But then fuck, I almost dropped my mic. The backup boyfriend, fucking John Cuck, is like, I for whatever reason did sign up to go to like a Giga sculpting school, but I'm not gonna go so I can stay here and run the kimono shop with my wife that doesn't love me. And his sister's like, are you a fucking idiot? You should follow your dreams. And he's like, no, I gotta get cucked. But then they hear rumors, or I think John Cuck sees Kit just like where they live. You know, big coincidence that he's mystically there. I think at some point she mentioned where she's from, and he goes out of his way to get there when he shockingly didn't die at sea. I think it would have been way more brave if he did die at sea, and then she just was in a loveless marriage at the end. That would have been fucking awesome. But no, Kit survived, and then they run into each other, and then all the color of the show comes back, which is like, hey, beautiful. It's beautiful. And then John Cuck is like, I will follow my dreams to be a sculptor. Goodbye forever, wife I love that doesn't love me. And she's like, and I'm going to be with him. Although, I think after that point, he leaves, and they're not together at first. Although I think she goes back to England. She goes back to England, and then, if I remember correctly, they're not... Fuck, I'm going to get scenes mixed up. I know at some point, they go to a beach, and they're there. I think that's the final scene, is that, like, she goes back to England and has, like, a good art career, while he fucks off to travel the world. But then they meet up again, and it's like and then they happily live together forever, I guess. Who cares? This one was a 6 out of 10 because it did have things that were enjoyable. I did like the characters, but I didn't buy into the love story. It was beautiful by which studio, you know. I wish it focused more on the art, like I keep fucking harping on. I wish Kit died at sea. That would have been really funny, but he didn't. Yeah, 6 out of 10. I wouldn't fully recommend it, but it's not so bad. I say don't watch it, you know. If you have Netflix and you have fucking 20 episodes of time worth to kill, why not, right? I mean, I did spoil the whole show, so maybe don't. Whatever. You know what? Don't watch it. Fuck off. The next thing I watched was One Punch Man Season 3. To get the cat out of the bag right away, I gave it a 1 out of 10. Famously, One Punch Man diarrheaed their... Fuck, holy shit, I can't talk. Diarrheaed their genes after Season 1. Season 1, I remember sitting down and I was like, I'm going to watch One Punch Man because I saw a fucking gift set on Tumblr.com of Mr. One Punch Man himself, Saitama, going to punch his apprentice Genos, Demon Cyborg, and it looked so fucking awesome. I was like, that's so tight. I'm 18 years old and this is the best show ever. So I watched that. I really liked it. I think after that I went on. I know this. I don't know when I did it, but I went on to read the whole manga at some point. I think I did that. I don't remember any detail in my own life. And then Season 2 comes out, and it's by a different animation studio, and it doesn't look very good. I don't remember Season 2 looking completely horribly dog shit. I don't remember giving it a good score. I think maybe I gave Season 2 a 4. Like, it was... They made such a good fucking beautiful show. They made it so boring. But Season 3, I think it's the same studio as Season 2, but this season they decided that they didn't need to animate anything, and it could just be one JPEG man, where every scene, like, maybe you would get the lips flapping, but that's it. They would animate the fight scenes poorly. They would look like shit, but any scene that they were like, as long as you can, make sure the characters don't fucking move. It's like our North Star to make sure that we don't actually animate anything. So this show looks about as good as a shit from a butt. It's fucking ugly. It's boring. I wasted my time watching it, but I love to torture myself, so I had to watch it. 1 out of 10. I'll be there for season 4 when it's inevitably the same animation studio, and at that point they don't even animate fight scenes and they don't do lip flaps, and it's just rough pencil sketches of One Punch Man, and they move it around with their hands, and you can see their hands in the shot. I'll be there and I'll be like, hey guys, it's still bad. Can you fucking believe it? It's been bad for fucking 90% of the show, and it still is. That's crazy. The next thing I watched is a Sol Levante, which I gave a 5 out of 10. This was like I think it. Hold on, maybe will anilist tell me? Yeah, it's a 4-minute long, no dialogue, movie, short film, super duper short film. I don't know how you would fucking describe this. Where it shows like some lady, and then she goes to fight like a goddess or a demon or something. It's been a month. It's been a month, and it was 4 minutes long. Like, bear with me that I remember even 1% of it. There's this person, they go to fight something, and then they get enveloped in fire, and then they get turned into a goddess, maybe, question mark? I don't remember. It looked pretty okay. I really think that this was just a, like, animation test for the studio to be like, look what we're capable of. I gave it a 5 because it wasn't bad at all, but it also wasn't, like, the story didn't do fuck all for me, but it was 4 minutes long. It was over like that. So I can't, it feels illegal to give it a good score or a bad score. It just is. It just happened. That just happened. The next thing I watched was 5 centimeters per second, which on anilist is listed as 3 episodes, which maybe it was, but I watched it as a movie, like a hour-long feature-length experience. Now, 5 centimeters per second is a story about John Centimeters, and John Centimeters starts off the movie as a little kid, and it's like he's best friends with this girl, and they're in love. And then by the 8th grade, we see their relationship blossom from like little kids through to the 8th grade, and then at some point she moves away, but they can still see each other, and then after that he also has to move away, so they don't see each other, but they stay in contact via email, and that's part 1. And then part 2, he's in high school, and there's some girl that's like, John Centimeters, please put your penis inside my vagina right now. I need your fucking cock desperately. Oh my god, get me pregnant. I don't care that we're 16 and in high school. And he's like, I really miss that girl I haven't seen since I was an 8th grader. And I'm like, oh no, is that what this fucking movie's about? And then that's all of part 2, is her desperately again and again being like, please do me, fucking rob me on the side of the road, holy shit. And him being like, I looked and I don't have another email from fucking Stacy Centimeters. Oh, it was fucking really brutal. Like, the first part was actually kind of like a little bit of a touching love story, and I'm like, okay, I buy into this. I would like to see if these two get together. And then they don't get together, and then he is the most fucking oblivious fucking loser in the world. He has no idea this girl is in love with him, even though she's like, hey, fuck. And then that's part 2, is that I think it ends with her crying, being like, why don't you understand that I need you carnally? And then part 3 starts, and he's 20 or 30 years old. He's an adult man. I don't think they say his age, but I'm just guessing. And he is just like a normal office worker, but he's like, my life is miserable. Everything would have been so much better if I got that 14-year-old ussy, man. Oh, no, life will never be the same because I didn't fall in love and marry the girl I met when I was 14. And I'm like, this movie fucking sucks cock. You need to move on, John Centimeters. I fucking hate you so much. Holy shit. And then I was texting my friend about this, and he gave me a little bit of perspective about how, maybe it's a little bit beautiful that he has such a pure longing for love that was lost. And I was like, he needs to move on. He's an adult. And then the movie ends and he moves on, but then the credits roll. It's him going back to where he was last with the 14-year-old or whatever the fuck, I don't remember. And he like looks into the sky and he's like, I don't get emails from her anymore, and I'll never see her again, and I need to move on. Credits roll. In my headcanon, then he gets struck by a meteor and dies. According to the friend I was messaging, he actually does eventually get with the fucking girl from part 2 that was like, please fuck me right now. But, that didn't happen in the movie, so as far as I'm concerned, it didn't happen at all. In my world, he got struck by lightning and died on the side of the road being like, 14-year-old. So, oh yeah, I gave it a 6 out of 10. I know I'm really harping on it, like I fucking hate its guts. But it was fine. It was fine in the movie. I disagree with the message of the movie that, like, he's so in love that he can't fucking move on for his whole life. But, like, it was fine enough, I guess. It looked competent. The voice acting was good. The music was good. I just don't get it. You fall in love with a girl when you're a fucking little boy and you don't move on by the time you're 30. Like, what are we doing? Chat, what are we doing? I don't know. The next thing that I watched was, may I ask for one final thing? I remember when this show was new. It's pretty new. Was it from this year? No, it's from fall 2025. Okay. So it's really, really new, but I'm still late to the party. I saw people, like, glazing this on Twitter, so obviously I fucking put my hat in the ring. I'm like, a good thing. Twitter says this is good, I'll be the judge of that. And it's about this girl. She's an aristocrat, and she's married to this dickhead. And the very first scene is dickhead going like, hey, I don't want to be with you. I want to be with this chick, so you and I are through. And then she's like, oh, is that right? Well, before we part forever, may I ask you one final thing? And he goes, oh, what? And I forget exactly what she says, but she's like, can I knock your fucking teeth in? And he's like, what did she just say? She puts on fingerless gloves, and she beats the living fuck out of every single person in this gigantic fucking ball they're all having, like, a gala in. And I'm like, this is the best show ever! And then every episode after that, it's downhill. It has the same gimmick where, like, she shows up and she's like, it's time to fucking put these knuckles to work, and then she just beats the fuck out of people while also having time magic to make her way stronger. But after episode 1, it's just kind of like fantasy slop, and it's my iPad fucking opened 5 centimeters per second. They're like, talk about that some more. We've moved on. Unlike John Centimeters, I can move on. Anyway, but every episode is just like, well, like, the first few, it's her, like, dealing with some local aristocracy and then being like, if words can't solve this, my fists can. And, it's fun. Nothing beats that first episode. That first episode made my dick so hard. But by the end, she's just, like, literally a member of the army and is like, we need to go to the opposing nation and take down their dragons. And then she fist fights the people that are going to ride dragons. It was totally okay. 6 out of 10. If every episode was as good as episode 1, this would be like true peak 11 out of 10. Unfortunately, I do think if there's a second season, I'll still watch it because it's fun enough. But man, I wish there was, like, I guess it's not really possible for every episode to be as cathartic as her being like, every rich person here is a fucking dickhead and my fiance is a cuck. I'm gonna beat your ass. But man, I wish it was. Fuck, that would be so good. I miss you so much, episode 1. I finished watching that the other day, so realistically, I guess I could have included that in the March list, but I'll tack it on here. I wanted to put it in the February video. And that's everything that I watched in February. So, hell yeah, bro. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed some of it, at least a little bit. And look forward to my next video. My next video will not be anilist. Maybe. I'm me, so I'm the king of saying, I want to do this video, and then I don't do it. So, probably not. Well, this time it's a guarantee. My next video, if it's not the March anilist, it will be covering Season 2 of Netflix's Bad Piece. One Piece live action Season 2. Because I do love to torture myself. So, if you're ready to see, it's 8 episodes, I think, so that's 8 hours of my fucking life I'll never get back, where I'll get on video and be like, hey, I would have much rather been crucified than having to watch this. Look forward to that, I guess, because I hate myself and I need to torture myself for content. But that's the end of this one. Look forward to Bad Piece coverage or anilist March, whatever. Goodbye, princess.